to LexGo Eat, the Herald Leaders podcast about eating and drinking in the Bluegrass. I'm Janet Patton, and I cover food and bourbon and craft beer.
And I'm Sally Shear, and I'm the Lifestyles Editor.
And normally we're here with Cheryl Truman, who covers new restaurants and a bunch of other things. But Cheryl is on the injured list with a broken arm, so we're very sorry that she's not here, and we look forward to seeing her back in the newsroom and back here with us.
We do, soon.
Really
we
soon.
Hope. Get well, Cheryl.
Yeah.
Bless your heart.
Yeah. Got some news about your Christmas sweater, though. You'll be really excited to hear that. Today, we're here at Bell's Cocktail House in Lexington, and we're going to be talking with Justin Thompson, who's one of the co-owners, about their New Year's Eve plans and some other things they have going on down here, as well as some cinnamon whiskeys. And we came here to Bell's a couple of months ago and did a kind of a blind tasting of some of the cinnamons that were out on the market then, and we've since gotten some more.
Yeah, there's so many of them now.
You're a fan of Fireball, right?
I'm a fan of Fireball because I have fond memories of it from a wonderful vacation I had this summer with some girlfriends, and we had a little Fireball on that trip, and ever since then I just can't move past it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've tasted, as you said, a lot of the cinnamons, and I think most of them are really, really good, but there's something about the Fireball that tastes exactly like those little red hot candies that I just can't get past. So it's my fave.
Well, you know, when we did that tasting, there were several that people really liked. They didn't know which one. You knew which one was Fireball.
Right,
you were able to pick it out because you're real familiar with it. But Jim Beam, which has Kentucky Fire, which is a bourbon, their bourbon with cinnamon in it, got pretty high marks from a lot of people because some of the bourbon tasters thought it tasted the most like bourbon with cinnamon. It does have more bourbon, I think, than some of the others.
Right, as opposed to cinnamon with bourbon in it, which is what some of the others taste like.
Yeah.
Heavy on the cinnamon, yes.
And Wild Turkey Spiced is interesting because it is not nearly as sweet as some of the others. Mm-hmm. So if you feel like when you drink Fireball or some of the other cinnamons that they're too sweet for you, spiced might be a direction to try because it is spicier rather than really, really sweet. And the one that we got later that we didn't have our original taste was the American Honey Sting, which is
another wild turkey,
and it uses ghost pepper to give it a kick. It doesn't actually say it's a cinnamon, but it feels like a cinnamon in your mouth, and it tastes really good. And I got to try the St. Elmo's Fire recently, and that is really pretty tasty stuff. I recommend that if you're looking for a cinnamon that's more of a craft and not so much just a shot, something that's a little bit different. So we've got a lot of options, and we're going to have our story is going to be in the New Year's Eve paper, and we have all of our tasting notes online at Kentucky.com with that story as well.
And I should mention that I went on Facebook this morning before we came over here to look at the Fireball Facebook page, and it has 800,000 followers. And so Janet said I became 800,001.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of people out there who are enjoying Fireball.
Yeah, it doesn't really need our help.
No, it does not.
But we thought we'd give you some options because maybe you want to try something a little different.
And would be a really nice holiday drink, I think, is our point.
Yeah, it's a really good, cinnamon is a flavor people think about at this time of the year a lot.
Right.
And we're going to have some drinks recipes if you want to try something fun for a party. We've got another really fun story coming up in the next couple of weeks that Cheryl worked on, right? The fruitcake story?
Yes, we have talked about fruitcake and why people don't like it and it gets such a bad rap. And Cheryl actually went out and interviewed a number of folks who say the reason fruitcake has a bad rap is because people have had bad fruitcake. And that fruitcake can be a wonderful holiday tradition and yummy.
Yeah.
And so we've talked to some people like the monks at Gethsemane that produce it in a wholesale capacity. And then we've talked to a couple of home cooks, and unbeknownst to me anyway, they actually make their own fruitcake at Critchfield's, which I think of as a meat and butcher shop. So we went out to Critchfield's and watched them make theirs. So that story is coming up next week. Yeah.
Did she get to taste any of them?
I don't know. We'll have to find out from her.
She didn't bring any back to the office. I'll just say that.
That's right.
We did not.
That's all we know. We didn't taste it.
Well,
Yes.
speaking of New Year's Eve, there are going to be a lot of restaurants around here that have great New Year's Eve specials going on. We've got several of those in the LexGo Eat columns on Kentucky.com
Right.
and on LexGo.com. The Foods Co-op is going to have their second annual hangover brunch, and the first 100 customers to come in and eat at the brunch get a free T-shirt.
Nice.
So it's a nice place to
And I'm sure the food is fantastic because it always is a good food. So
yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I go there when I don't
Very
have a
nice,
hangover.
right.
So, you know.
Exactly. It's an eating and drinking time of year, isn't it, as we celebrate. So
Yeah.
it's a wonderful.
So let's go eat.
Yes, let's go eat.